if I am preparing to go on to an appointment to tell somebody what their house is worth, what is the paperwork that I'm preparing to take with me? I don't walk into the house, look around, and throw out a number, right? What is the paperwork that I'm going to be putting together? Go ahead, Catherine.
CMA, comparative market analysis.
Right. I'm going to be doing a CMA, a comparative market analysis. I'm going to give them a number and I'm going to back it up with information. Now, what kind of information is in the CMA? Go ahead, Catherine. I'll stick with you.
So it's going to be it's going to be 3 properties that have sold in the area, 3 properties that are currently on the market, and 3 that expired.
Yes. 3 houses that have sold in the area, 3 houses that are currently on the market, and then 3 houses that have expired from the market. Good. Now, let's say I'm an appraiser and I'm going to appraise a property. I have 3 options, 3 choices, depending on what the subject property is, will be the option that I use. What are the 3 options that an appraiser would use? Sheila?
The cost approach, the income capitalization approach, and went blank on the 3rd one.
Erica, can you help us?
The sales comparison?
Yeah, the appraiser has the sales comparison approach, which is checking the comparables in the area, seeing what's sold. Then they have the cost approach. Then they have the income capitalization approach. They're going to want to use the sales comparison approach because it's really the easiest approach. But if there aren't any comparables in the area, maybe the subject property is unique in design. Maybe it's a church, a school, a hospital, a library. Then what approach would they end up going to? Kathleen?
They would go to the cost approach.
They would go to the cost approach. Figure out how much this thing builds to cost to build. Very good. Now, if I say we have an agreement to transfer possession of a property, control of a property for a specific amount of time, what would that be called, Alyssa?
A lease.
A lease agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're the landlord, I'm the tenant. I'm paying rent and some of something and all of another. For an example, I'm paying some of the taxes and all of the oil. What kind of lease agreement would that be? Dafkar?
A net lease.
A net lease. Now, if I'm paying rent and I'm also paying all other expenses, what is that called? Alexandra?
Paying rent. Triple net lease.
The triple net lease. Now, if I'm paying you rent and I'm also going to give you some of what I make, right? What would that be called? Delaney, do you remember?
Percentage lease.
The percentage lease. I'm going to give you rent and I'm also going to pay you some of what I'm making after what's called that break-even number. It's called a break-even number. Good. Now, what if I pay you rent and that's it? You, the landlord, bear all other expenses. What would that be called, Phil?
It's a gross lease.
An easement in gross. Very good. An easement in gross. No, not an easement in gross. A gross lease. What am I saying? I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. That's why. So what I'm going to say next is if we hear a noise outside and we go out the door and we see line workers on our telephone poles working on those lines, they have a right to do that. What is their right? What is that called? Margaret Cueva.
That's easement in gross easement.
An easement in gross. Very good. Yeah. Now, what about we're neighbors and we have water behind us, but I have no access to the water that's behind us. I buy the property knowing that I'm allowed to go onto your property and use your pathway. First question, what is that pathway called? Ralph?
Right away.
A right of way. The minute we see right of way, we think we got to be talking about what? Catherine?
An easement appurtenant.
The easement appurtenant. Very good. Now, let's say I'm using my neighbor's property for a period of time, and I'm thinking to myself, this makes me feel real uncomfortable. I'm not legally allowed to use this person's property, but I've been doing it for quite a while. I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to make myself feel better about this? Well, in order to have the right to use the property, I would need a what? What would that be called? Ariana?
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Okay, no problem. Alexandra?
Prescriptive easement.
A prescriptive easement. Remember I said it would make me feel better about myself? I think to myself, how I remember that is I think if I go to a doctor, the doctor gives me a script to make me feel better. So I'm looking for a prescriptive easement to allow me now to go on to this person's property. Now, what if I put up a fence that goes over onto my neighbor's property? What would that be called? Genesis?
Encroachment.
An encroachment. Let's say no one stops me from encroaching on the property. My neighbor's not stopping me from my fence being over onto their property line. And after a while, I'm thinking to myself, boy, it would be really nice to be able to take title to this property. After all, I've been taking care of it now for years. What is this called? Lisa?
Adverse possession.
Adverse possession. People are always getting confused between adverse possession and easement by prescription. What is the big difference between the two? Someone help me. What is the big difference between the two? Kathleen?
So the difference between the two is that the prescriptive easement, you would have to, for a period of 10 years.
Good.
Right. Have use of that property.
That's right.
Right.
Have use
And
of the property is the key word.
You can't tack on that one, correct?
You can. You tack on that one. There's tacking.
You tack on that one.
Yeah. So the easement by prescription, I'm using that property for a period of time. Using is the key word, which is what you said. And there is tacking, meaning if I'm in that property for 5 years and then you, Kathleen, buy my property, you'd only have to go 5 years using that property to then try to get access to legally be allowed to use that property. Good. And then when we're thinking about adverse possession, we're thinking about, Catherine?
So you have to take care of the gained property from your neighbor that you encroached over. You have to take care of it for 10 years, and that does not have tacking. So you have to be the singular person doing that for 10 years.
Right. And a big part of it is taking care of the property. Like we said, in the real world, the fact that you're taking care of the property is huge, right? So the big difference between the two is easement by prescription, you want to use the property. And adverse possession, you want the property for yourself, right? You want to take title to the property. That's the big difference between the two. Good. All right. What if I'm buying a co-op? I would be getting what? If you're buying a co-op, you get Delaney?
Shares in a corporation.
You're buying into shares in a corporation. Because you're not getting a mortgage and you're not getting a deed. We know it's considered a personal loan when you get a co-op. It's a co-op loan considered a personal loan. You have to get something to show ownership, right? You're not getting a mortgage and a deed. Well, what is it that shows ownership of this property? Josephine?
Proprietary lease.
Proprietary lease. Good. That proprietary lease. Now, the proprietary lease goes along with a co-op. What also goes along, when we think about buying a co-op, everybody has to sit in front of, when they buy the co-op, everyone has to sit in front of the, Alexandra?
Board of directors.
Board of directors. Now, What's unique about the board of directors? What's unique about the board? Go ahead, Dafkar.
They can deny you without giving you a reason.
They could deny you without giving you a reason, which is a little unsettling, right? Now, what about still talking about co-ops? Everybody has to pay into a co-op, right? Everybody pays into the one mortgage, the one insurance, right? What happens if enough people can't pay their fees? What can actually happen? Margaret C.?
The corporation can go into foreclosure.
Yes.
And enough people stop paying.
If enough people stop paying, everyone is relying on each other to pay their fees. If enough people stop paying, everyone can go into foreclosure, even the people who have paid. Good. If I say I have a house that's free and clear of encumbrances, liens, I could do anything I want with the property. I could leave it to someone. I could sell it to someone. I could lease it to someone. What am I getting into here? What is this? What am I talking about? Jessley. You muted. Oh, still muted. Jessley, you're muted. I'm going to go to Lisa.
Fee simple.
Fee simple. Lisa, can you give me a more basic information definition of this?
It's a complete form, the most complete form of ownership.
Yes, the most complete form of ownership. Let's see. If I am paying my principal and interest every month on my mortgage, and my mortgage is going down, it ends up at a zero balance after the 15 years is up, let's say. What's happening there, Phil?
Yes, amortization.
Amortization. Now, if I'm paying my monthly fee, my principal and interest, and my mortgage is not going down, it's actually ticking up with every payment. What's happening there, Joe?
Negative amortization.
Negative amortization. Now, with negative amortization, I'm probably going to end up with what type of loan at the end? Pam?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Sure. With negative amortization, I'm probably going to end up with what kind of payment at the end? If I'm paying my mortgage and my loan isn't going down, it's actually ticking up, that's negative amortization. It's probably going to give me what type of loan at the end? Let's say, sorry, I thought Angie had her hand up. Delaney. What is it?
Balloon payment?
The balloon payment, right? Now, with negative amortization and a balloon payment, you're probably going to be in what type of loan, Erica?
Adjustable rate mortgage.
Right, an adjustable rate mortgage and ARM. Let's see. What if I go to a buyer's house? No, I go to a homeowner's house and I say to the homeowner, as an agent, I say to the homeowner, you better hurry up and sell your house. This neighborhood is really going down the tubes. What would that be called? Sheila.
That's not blockbusting, is it?
It is blockbusting. I, the agent, am scaring the homeowner, even if it's true or not. I'm scaring the homeowner into putting their house on the market. Maybe for a quick sale, I put it on the market and I sell it myself for a quick sale, or maybe I buy it myself, right? So blockbusting, is that legal or illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal. Good. Blockbusting would be illegal. What about if the lending institution denies a loan based on where the buyer wants to live? So everything checks out on this loan. They work where they say they work. They make enough money. They have the money in the bank that they say everything is good. And then the lending institution looks at where these people want to live and they go, there's a lot of foreclosures in that area. If I let them get a mortgage and they buy in that area, they're probably going to go into foreclosure as well. What is this called? What would this be called, Matt?
Redlining.
Redlining.
Which is illegal.
Which is illegal. Very good. People get to live wherever they want to live. Good. Now, what if what? Okay, what if the buyer comes into my office and I take them in my car, I take them to the neighborhood that I think that they would be most comfortable in based on the way that they look? What would that be called? Charlotte? Steering. We remember it because we think, I'm going to put the buyer in my car and I'm going to steer them to the neighborhood that I think that they would want